So this is number 11 in my series. I've gone back to Gary Richardson, or this is another one inspired by Gary Richardson, who's one of the BBC sports reporters. And I've done some pieces before about the way Gary questions, and I think sometimes he kind of misses the point. But I think the other thing he does sometimes is he pushes a little bit too hard. Although I can understand maybe why he does that. And I have this idea that at some level Gary sees himself as some kind of tough news hound, pursuing the story for the benefit of the public and democracy, speaking truth to power, a kind of news warrior. Now, of course, in the world of journalism and Gary's world of reporting, the scoop is, of course, much prized by journalists. And over the years, there's been some, huge examples. So Martin Bashir in 1995, some of you may remember, he interviewed Princess Diana, and in the course of that, she admitted that Charles had been having an affair with Camilla, which at the time, is sort of huge story. So that's a famous one. In 1977, David Frost interviewed the American President Richard Nixon. The interview is sort of long and rambling, but there's a moment in it where Frost says something like, excuse me, I'm just going to read this. So in a sense, you're saying there are certain situations in the Houston Plan. The Huston Plan was this idea the FBI and CIA were collaborating with the government, and they were looking at what kind of surveillance might be appropriate in the light of what's come these days with algorithms, Amazon and so on. That's not quite prescient. So Frost says, so you're saying that there's a sense in certain situations the Huston Plan, bear in mind this is 77, was that basically the president can decide that it's in the best interests of the nation and do something illegal. The president can decide to do something that's in the interest of the nation, but it could be illegal. And at this point, this is where the scoop comes in. Nixon, you can put this up, says, again, I'm just going to read this. Well, when the president does it, that means it is not illegal. I'll just say that again. Nixon says, well, when the president does it, that means it's not illegal. So amazing revelation, what a scoop. And I say not in sport, something that really matters, like politics. So it's kind of understandable that, any reporter, would be absolutely keen to have a scoop. And I'm sure obviously that's maybe what's on Gary's mind. So it's the 5th of May, 2020. Gary's on duty on Radio 4. And of course, it's during the pandemic, so there's not much sport. But one of the topics, of course, that's come up is, will professional football be resumed after the pandemic? And Gary has Gordon Taylor on the show. Now, Gordon is, he was a professional footballer and he's been involved in the Professional Footballers Association for years. So, he's an ideal guest to talk about this. So, Gary has him on, and to be honest, it's a very dull interview. Nothing's been decided. It seems to me Taylor is quite statesmanlike. He's aware he's representing the footballers. He's also really aware he's got to negotiate with the government and the medical profession. That's common sense. That seems that's responsible. And in a way, I suspect there's no story here really. It's just about they're in the middle of the process. But I'm sure at some level, as I say, Gary is channeling the Ghost of Frost and sort of the Martin Bahir, the reporter who cannot be denied. And of course, in this case, the resumption of football is the thing that's kind of going to rescue us. Now, I've said before, I think he has a style of questioning that's kind of misses the point. And one of the things he does quite often, he tries to put pressure on the guest, and he does this. And I'll just tell you what he says. This is a technique he uses. So he says at one point, it's coming towards the end. He says, Gordon Taylor, you've been a professional footballer playing for Bolton, Blackburn, Birmingham, Bury, or with B, I don't know if that's significant. You've been chairman of the PFA for many years, building up. What do you think will happen as we emerge from the lockdown? What can you tell us, Gordon? And you think, well, he would have surely said it before. So why does he do that? Does he think Gordon Taylor doesn't really know his stuff? He must do. It's his life. Is it for the audience benefit? So he's building up. So we're bloody well expecting something. Gordon. But I wonder if, and at some level, Gary's hoping that Taylor's now going to say, well, they're going to play all the games in the Middle East. I neglected to tell you that before, but I'm going to tell you. They're going to play them all in the Middle East, and the games will be at 2 o'clock in the morning. Or maybe he's going to say they'll play all the games at 6 in fancy dress from Disney characters and indoors. Or that they're going to buy in 2-foot-high robots and play in deserted sports centres or car parks or something. So something like the football equivalent, maybe, of Princess Diana talking about Charles having an affair, or Nixon admitting that he was beyond the law. And this is the moment. This is Gary's moment. He's built him up. Taylor cannot disappoint. And Taylor says, well, as I say, we're not sure. We have to work with the government. I need to represent the players, and we need to listen to medical advice. Another scoop gone, Gary.